2.6 न चैतद्विद्मः कतरन्नो गरीयो यद्वा जयेमा यदि वा नो जयेयुः यानेव हत्वा न जिजीविषामस्ते अवस्थिताः प्रमुखे धार्तराष्ट्राः. So Arjuna says, na cha etad vidmaha kataran. We don't know which one is na cha etad vidmaha kataran. Which one is gariyaha. Gariyaha means which is best. There is a famous prayer where it is said, Janani janma bhumischa swargadapi gariyasi. Our birthland, Janani, our mother, and Janmabhumi, our motherland where we take birth. It is even better than Swargadapi Gariyasi. It is better than even heavenly planets. So anyway, that is not a scriptural statement, but it is just a statement to show, poetic statement to show that importance one gives to their motherland. So Gariyasi means what is best. Gariyo na vidmaha, we don't know. What we don't know? Whether yadva jayema yadiva no jayayuhu. Whether to win over them, jayema, or to be won by them. We don't know. And even if we win, yan eva hatva na jiji vishamaha. If we kill them and win, na jiji vishamaha, we shouldn't be caring to live, because our enjoyment will be tainted with their blood. And whom will we share our kingdom with? They are our superiors, they are our kinsmen. Yan eva hatva, if they die, na jiji vishamaha, we shouldn't care to live. And such people, te avastitaha, they are standing before us just to be slain, just to fight. Pramukhe dhartarashtraha. So all these chieftains of the Dhritarashtra's army, they are standing before us. So now this is the confusion of Arjuna. So he had the following choices: whether to fight or not fight and go to begging. Begging is obviously a very lowly job, especially for a Kshatriya, not very recommended. But he was fine with that, apparently. The other choice is fighting. Actually, he was ready to take begging at the end of the previous chapter. And now he is, his mind is in two minds. He is confused whether to fight. Krishna, I am not really sure. I can either go to begging, or if I want to fight, I am not sure. If he fought and won, what will happen? This enjoyment will be tainted by their blood. It is not enjoyment at all. It is rather defeat. If we fight and lose, that means anyway we lost. So it's a classic case of lose-lose situation. So in the managerial terms, there is something called win-win situation, which the corporates, they try to achieve all the time when they have business dealings. But there is also something called lose-lose situation. Whether you go front, you lose, or you stand wherever you are, you lose, or you go back, you are losing. It is just like, once you are there, you have to do something. You cannot stand idle. You have to fight, and you know how to fight. It's just like when I learned driving and I was about to enter the freeway in the United States. It is just like entering a battlefield, isn't it? The very first time you are entering the freeway. You cannot stay idle. You cannot just not drive. You cannot go slow. You cannot go fast. You have to dodge people coming at you at like bullet speed, apparently. And you have to keep going the right way. And very similar, of course, this Arjuna situation is much worse and much more complicated than a simple driving on the freeway. But that is just to show the parallel. So many times, the same situation as Arjuna happens to our life also, many times. And we could think this is much more complicated than what Arjuna was facing. And of course, our mind does justify that. And it could be possible that we are facing a very um, dilemma situation at many instances in our life. Decisions, and it is not clearly black and white. What needs to be done, we don't know. Things look dark, confusing, unclear. So when there is a loose situation, we have to raise to that situation. How do we raise? We have to take shelter of the Supreme Lord Krishna, just like Arjuna did. He didn't succumb to this situation. He had a good counsel in the form of Krishna. So the good thing he has done is not breaking down. Of course, he did break down, but he didn't let that to continue and break his existence altogether. So he took shelter of the Lord. And similarly for us, we also have to follow suit. We have to raise to that occasion. That is why regular cultivation of knowledge will help us. Oh, okay, so this is a situation I am facing. So I need some guide, spiritual guide, like Krishna, his Bhagavad Gita, or his representative, spiritual master. Representative means the association of devotees. Krishna reciprocates through the spiritual master who reciprocates through the association of devotees. So if we don't take advantage of this, then the mind can rationalize anything. The mind can come up with a solution which, according to our own mundane, limited vision, we think it will work, but it will not work. So that is why the Acharyas recommend the importance of taking good counsel from an advanced devotee, from an experienced person. Rupa Goswami says, Dadati pratigruhnati guhyam akhyati pruchhati bhungte bhojayate chaiva shadvidam priti lakshanam. So we have to learn there are 6 things one has to cultivate when they are in the association of devotees. One is dadati pratigruhnati, giving gifts and accepting gifts. And guhyam akhyati pruchhati, revealing our mind in confidence and inquiring. Revealing our mind in confidence means, of course, we are all faced with difficult situations. It could be simple difficult or difficult, but it is advised to always approach somebody who is connected to Krishna, who is a little more experienced than you, who can help you, so that you can be properly counseled. Krishna's direction comes through the spiritual master and through the association of devotees. So we should feel the surrender of Krishna through his representative, and which ultimately boils down to the association of devotees. So here Arjuna and many devotees in the past, stalwart acharyas, they didn't think that they were good enough to solve a situation. I mean, what to speak of us? Like Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami. Like yesterday I was saying about Sanatan Goswami, maybe day before. They were great ministers, very shrewd in thinking, great diplomats, very intelligent. The whole state was being controlled by them. But when in the heart they were all devotees of the Lord, externally they had to accept and become Muslims. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to this place in Bengal where they initially met, what is that place? Who can say that? Where they first met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Bengal? Puri is not in Bengal.
I think it's in Bengal, Gantuli Grama.
No, Gantuli is near Govardhan, near Vrindavan. In Bengal, there is a place called Ramakeli. So Ramakeli, they meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will be en route to Vrindavan, and he stops at Ramakeli, and Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami take the opportunity to meet, that too in secrecy, along with their brother Sri Vallabha. These three are great devotees of the Lord, and because they are ministers, they cannot go directly. They go very secretly in the night and go and meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And with complete humility, they surrender and offer obeisances to the Lord, all three of them. And Jiva Goswami would be a small child at that time. Jiva Goswami is the nephew of Sanatan Goswami and Rupa Goswami. He is the son of Vallabha. He is the brother of Rupa and Sanatana. So at that time, their names were Muslim names: Dabir Khas, Shakar Malik, Sri Vallabha. And Jiva Goswami would be just observing as a child. He is also full of devotion to the Lord from the birth, from the childhood. And he would be wondering, uh, of course, that is, as a child, he is still acting as a child, but he is observing his parents and his uncles. They were offering prostrated obeisances. They were full of tears, even though they were the ministers. And Jiva Goswami becomes moved. He is also a great devotee, and he also develops intense attachment to the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it's a great example of how, by example, one can teach our children. So when we engage in devotion, the children also follow similar example. They try to imitate, they try to do what we are doing. So anyway, so Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami, they didn't think they were good enough to understand. And later on, when Sanatan Goswami escapes from the prison and comes to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he says, I don't know who I am. I think people in my village, where I live, in my town, city, they think I am a great Pandit. Thai Pandit Satya Korimani. Gramya Vyavahare Pandit Thai Satyamani. I consider that as truth when they say I am a Pandit. Apanar hita hita kichu nahi jani. But what is good for me, what is bad for me, I become so confused and I don't know what is good for me. So imagine Sanatan Goswami himself is submitting here. So we should all, who are we before these great people? We should constantly not believe in our mind and submit ourselves to be directed by the uh, order and instruction of the spiritual master. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chittete Koriya Aikya Arana Koriho Mane Asha. Who can translate that? This is a Guru Puja, one of the verses we sing. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chittete Koriya Aikya Arana Koriho Mane Asha. What does it mean?
The words emanating from the lotus mouth of the spiritual master are the only shelter, are the only hope of liberation from this material world.
Yes. So basically what it says is Guru Mukha Padma Vakya, the lotus words or the words emanating from the lotus mouth of the spiritual master, Chittete Koriya Aikya. With your intelligence, with your consciousness, Chitta Koriya Aikya. Make one with your consciousness. Or do not harbor any other desires. And Arana Koriho Manayasya. That's what it means. No, do not entertain anything else. That's what it is. And even while doing service also, we face with so many confusions so many times. Oh, how should we do it? Oh my, spiritual master gave me the service, the authorities gave me the service. So here Arjuna, Prabhupada is highlighting the faith Arjuna had in Krishna's protection. So therefore he was being termed as fit for liberation. He was truly virtuous as these qualities combined with his faith in the words of instruction of Sri Krishna indicate. It is concluded that Arjuna was quite fit for liberation. When Prabhupada went to the West, he wanted to publish his Bhagavad Gita, and he was trying to find publishers in vain. He, way back in 1939, just after 7 years of or 6 years after Prabhupada's initiation, he writes an introduction to Bhagavad Gita, and then after that, in India, before he came to the West, he completes a full translation and commentary of the Bhagavad Gita over 1,000 pages. But unfortunately, it gets stolen. And again in March 1966, Prabhupada would be trying to recover from that loss of those manuscripts. And then again in 1966, he loses his typewriter, his recorder, and several books that he brings along with him. All would be stolen. He would be living in a place which is not congenial for a gentleman, and there was a lot of robbery and theft. So he would lose all those things. But again, he would be determined and again starts writing. And in 1967, he finishes a new manuscript all over again. Again, over 1,000 pages he writes. And then he would be trying to get some major publisher to publish his message in a nice format so that the whole world can get the opportunity to read the Bhagavad Gita. And then he would try to meet all kinds of people to help him. And there is this famous poet, Allen Ginsberg. You might see some of his interviews and his interactions in some of the YouTube videos during Prabhupada's days. So Allen Ginsberg, he is a great poet and he knows a lot of publishers, but still he also couldn't get any publishing going for Prabhupada. And the publishers would not be impressed because there is no commercial value to that, they think. And then there is another disciple called Rajaram Prabhu. Rajaram Prabhu also had some experience in the publishing world. He also fails in his attempts in spite of his publishing background. And then enter the scene Brahmananda Prabhu, one of Prabhupada's earliest disciples. And then in one of the memories he recounts how this incident happened. So Prabhupada calls him, and Brahmananda Prabhu doesn't know anything about publishing, unlike Allen Ginsberg or Rajaram Prabhu. So Prabhupada puts the manuscript in his hands and says, simply, you must get this published. And he won't say anything. You must get this published. That's all I want. And Brahmananda Prabhu had no idea. If Allen Ginsberg and Rajarama couldn't get this published, then how could he do it? And he would be scratching his head, and he would buy some books on publishing and start reading about them. He takes a course about publishing in New York University. He just didn't know what to do. And Prabhupada just wants him to get the book published. That was a service given to him. So he was confused. He doesn't know where to go, how to do. He was just praying and trying to progress in baby steps. So at that time, what happens is, the devotees elsewhere, they would release this album, musical album, called Happening. It is titled as Happening. And it would contain assortment of various devotional songs sung by Prabhupada himself. And they would record it with other musical instruments, and they would dub it with nice mridanga and all that. and it becomes a big hit. And they place this ad for this record, musical record, in various magazines and all that. And people would order these copies over mail, and then they would send these mails. And then suddenly, uh, Brahmananda Prabhu receives this order from one bigger publishing company for this record happening album. And then he comes running, Prabhupada, we got an order for this album. It's an order from Macmillan Company. They are one of the biggest publishers in the world. And Prabhupada, you know, he becomes very enlivened, and he looks into Brahmananda's eyes, and he says, usually what do we do when we get the order? And then Brahmananda says, we usually mail out these copies by accepting the check or money order. And then Prabhupada says, do not mail out this order like what we do standardly to others. Instead, take this record personally to their office, Macmillan's office in Manhattan, and hand deliver it to the person who sent us this letter. And then Brahmananda Prabhu would be nodding his head, hearing what Prabhupada would say again. What is his plan? And then Prabhupada continues his plan. He reveals. So when you hand deliver the album, tell them that you are a disciple of a guru from India, and that he has translated the Bhagavad Gita, the famous book. And that's it. You say that, and they will publish it. Don't worry. And Brahmananda Prabhu would be stunned. How come Prabhupada is so confident? He is saying as if he is witnessing these incidents in the future, how it is going to turn out. And he still has his doubts. But somehow he had the faith in Prabhupada's words. And then he gets ready. He gets dressed in suit and tie. He has to go present a proper impression with them. And then he goes to the skyscraper in Manhattan, the Macmillan office. And then he finds out that the person who has ordered it is just a clerk. Out of her personal interest, she orders the album, but somehow she gives the address as the Macmillan Company because that is where she works most of the time, and she has nothing to do with the publishing intricacies, and she was just a simple worker who had some interest in mantras and meditation and things like that. And Brahmananda Prabhu would become disappointed. He delivers the album, hand delivers the album. But miraculously, just then, while he was talking with the clerk, a young executive of Macmillan, he happens to appear at that place, trying to collect his mail from the clerk. And the clerk also introduces him to Brahmananda Prabhu. She says, oh, here is our executive, Mr. James Wade, one of our senior editors. And immediately Brahmananda Prabhu seizes the moment. He literally, verbatim, whatever Prabhupada tells him, he repeats. I am a disciple of a guru from India, and he has translated this book, famous book, Bhagavad Gita. And even before he completes that statement, James Wade interrupts him. What? You have Bhagavad Gita manuscript, translation, and commentary? You know what? We have published a full line of spiritual books, but we were looking for a copy of Bhagavad Gita to fill out that set of spiritual books. And, you bring in the manuscript tomorrow and we will publish it. I don't have to even see the book. I know I have confidence in you, it will be good. You bring it tomorrow and I'll publish it. And Brahmananda Prabhu's mouth, it's like opening wide. He is like at loss of words, contemplating the potency of Prabhupada's prediction. Prabhupada said, you say like this, they will publish it, do not worry. And that's what exactly happened. And Brahmananda Prabhu races down to the storefront where that time they were in a storefront in the initial days. They were conducting the programs there, and tells Prabhupada the news. And Prabhupada nonchalantly dismisses. He knew, okay, I know this would happen. And that's how the first print would be printed, first copy of the book would be printed. And the copy that they print would be abridged version. And again, because of James Wade's relation with Prabhupada and Brahmananda, Macmillan would print again an unabridged version of Bhagavad Gita in 1972. So anyway, it's a wonderful story how even when you are in confusion during service, the faith in one's spiritual master is the only way one can hope to render meaningful service. With our own intelligence, we can only go so much. That's why we should always give credit to the spiritual master. And he gives credit to his spiritual master. And ultimately, it is Krishna who is um, doing everything through his transparent, pure representatives. So, these are the lessons we can learn from this purport and this sloka. And Prabhupada also mentioned some important points about how Arjuna had his control over his mind and senses. He didn't get succumbed to the dictation of his mind and senses. And the observation was he was detached from material enjoyment because he was ready to even beg. And then obviously he was dependent on Krishna and had faith in Krishna to help him bail out of the situation. Therefore, these conditions uh, enabled him to become quite fit for liberation. So I'll stop here. Any other questions, comments on what we discussed?